Welcome back to Birdies, Bogeys, Bushwood. I'm Jamie G, the unofficial mayor of the 19th hole. I am back with Magnum Mills, and we are heading into Gemstone territory to break down the 2025 RBC Heritage at the Harbortown Golf Links in South Carolina. Mills, it's going to be tough. No, scratch that. It's going to be impossible to top what we saw last week at the Masters, but we got to do our best to put it in our rear view.
Yeah, to paraphrase Ralph Wiggum, I would say, us top the Masters, that's impossible. Yeah, that was a golf tournament. I think I could probably spend the entire show just talking about that, but that's how it works, man. We're getting old. Father Time just keeps on moving. It doesn't stop, so we got to keep in rhythm with the calendar here. Time is precious, and thank you for spending your time with us here on Birdies, Bogeys, Bushwood. We are presented by Seize the Gap Fantasy Football. Find our content wherever you get your pods and on YouTube, on social media at Seize the Gap FF, same place on the web, seizethegapff.com. Nice and easy to remember, just like the flaps. They are not just for birds, they're crucial to our success. FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, you have to press the thumb, please, and thank you.
Let's try to deal with the proverbial elephant in the room here before we get to the Heritage. Rory McIlroy, he finally did it, man. He won his first Masters, and he did so in becoming the sixth golfer to complete the career Grand Slam. Don't lie to us, Mills. Did you think Rory was cooked after he imploded at the end of his round on Thursday? Sure looked that way.
I think me and the majority of people watching the tournament, just because we've seen this story so many times. And then during the tournament, he tried to piss it away, I don't know, 5 or 6 more times. It seemed like everybody other than Justin Rose, who had his own struggles on Saturday, just couldn't quite find that final gear to get there. Bryson stumbled, Oberg stumbled. Justin Rose was nails, but of course couldn't get it done again. Lost in a playoff to Rory. He was also the last person before that to lose in a playoff at the Masters, I believe in 2017 to Sergio Garcia. So shout out to Justin Rose. Hopefully he gets to take another run at it next year. The man is just about as close as you can get to winning the Masters without actually winning it. I think everyone was rooting for him. He was very gracious in defeat, so would really like to see him finally take that one down. And obviously Rory, yes, just all over the place, but it made great television. You literally didn't know what was going to happen. He could shank it or he could hit the greatest golf shot you've ever seen, and it seemed that all outcomes were possible. And he did, especially the one, I believe it was on 15, the hook to 7-iron, I think, out of the woods to, man, just absolutely incredible stuff. So shout out Rory, you did it. One of only 6 men to win all 4 majors. So that is an accomplishment. Maybe the most decorated, actually, hell, probably the most decorated European golfer in history at this point. So maybe this gets that proverbial monkey off his back. He goes on, wins a few more majors. I think it opens things up here quite a bit. I think he's going to be able to play a little bit looser here, especially in the majors going forward. So looking forward to see what that brings. And as mentioned, Justin Rose finished second. Rounding out the top 10, you had Patrick Reed coming in third. He was the low golfer for Liv. The man is just a machine here at Augusta. Not really a surprise here. Had a nice, I think it was on 16 or 17, dunked one in for Eagle. So that helped with the finishing a little bit, but he gets the solo third. Scotty Scheffler came in solo fourth, 8 under in his title defense. We had a tied for fifth, Sungjae Im and Bryson DeChambeau, both 7 under. Sungjae played a very consistent week, 71-70, 71-69. We got the full Bryson experience, but he definitely melted down with that 75 on Sunday. Ludwig Oberg finished with a solo 7, 6 under, tanked it with a double bogey on the last hole, played the last three over. I think cost himself about 700 grand on that final hole. So hopefully he bounces back, but still that's 2 top 10 finishes in his first 2 appearances at the Masters. And then we had a 4-way tie at 8th, 5 under par between Xander Schauffele, Zach Johnson, Corey Connors, and Jason Day. And we called him, man. We said a couple of the old guys were going to do it. And Justin Rose and Zach Johnson were the notable names as far as the old guys. Outside of the top 10, you had a little bit of a tied for 14th 300 between John Rahm, Jordan Spieth, and Colin Morikawa. Tied for 21st at 200, you had Tommy Fleetwood, Victor Hovland. Tied for 36 at 2 over, you had Justin Thomas, Patrick Cantlay, and our guy Shane Lowry all the way down, tied for 42nd, fell apart on Sunday, missing the cut. Phil Mickelson, Cam Smith, Brooks Koepka, all three of those guys were 5 over. So not the greatest showing for the live golfers, and Cam Smith especially just absolutely tanked it on his final round on Friday on the back nine. He was like 7 over on the back nine, went from 1 under, looking to comfortably make the cut to missing the cut. That one definitely hurt me a bit on DraftKings and with some of my wagers. So thanks for nutting, Cam Smith.
We apologize, Myrtle Beach. We know that you're great, all right? We're doing the South Carolina thing at Hilton Head because we can't do Dirty Myrtle on this trip. That's not that type of golf trip. We'll see you soon. But for this one, we're going to Hilton Head. Mills, what do we need to know about the RBC Heritage?
As you mentioned earlier, we are at Harbor Town Golf Links in Hilton Head, South Carolina. This is a par 71 golf course playing 7,213 yards. This is a Pete Dye design. He had some input from Jack Nicklaus as well. So we're definitely going to be looking at guys who have had success on Pete Dye courses. This is the 5th signature event of the 2025 PGA Tour season. As we're recording this, we have 72 golfers in the field. There is no cut for this one, and we have $20 million in the purse. The winner's taking home $3.6 million and 700 FedEx Cup points. So a lot at stake here in the RBC Heritage. And the defending champion is back once again. Scotty Scheffler took it down at 19 under last year. So can he repeat? He didn't get it done at the Masters. Still looking for his first win this season. We will find out. But first, we need to find out what the weather's looking like. Jamie G, put on your meteorology cap here and tell us what's going down as far as the weather at Hilton Head this week.
Yeah, got the cap on, Mills. And before I get into the weather, I got to remind you guys, just check the latest weather forecast before making any wagers, setting any lineups. It's super important. Make sure you do that because I'm telling you, even though it looks like a decent week, we're near the ocean and things can change quickly. Wind can become the big factor that we've seen before. So make sure you're staying on top of it. We're starting off here on Thursday. We open the tournament on Thursday with literally perfect golf weather. No clouds, a high of 74 degrees, and winds between 5 and 10 miles an hour. Absolutely gorgeous day to hit the golf course. Friday, it's almost as nice as Thursday. Once again, we've got a sunny day, but the high temperature is up to 76 degrees. The winds do pick up a bit here. They should stay in that 10 to 15 mile an hour range. Saturday, we'll finally get a couple of clouds in that South Carolina sky, but that's all we can complain about. We've got a projected high temperature of 78 degrees with the same 10 to 15 mile an hour winds that we had on Friday. Sunday, the bad news is that we're looking at our first cloudy day on Sunday. The good news is that everything else looks great. Once again, projected high of 78 degrees. The wind should drop down to that 5 to 10 mile an hour range. Overall here, just make sure you double check the forecast closer to lock time. But really, I don't see the weather being that big of a factor this week, short of a massive change or storm rolling through unexpected.
I'm right there with you. I'm grateful for that. We didn't have to worry about it much at the Masters last week. Doesn't look like we'll have to worry about it here. But again, stay on top of it. We are near the water. Stuff can happen, especially with the wind. I don't think there's going to be anything that makes an impact if you're playing the full 4 round contest in DFS or your regular wagers. But if you're doing live wagering or the showdown contest, make sure you check back in on the weather for those individual days.
Before we get into our lineups and wagers, just give us your overall thoughts here on the RBC Heritage. What are you looking for this week?
This is a shorter course. It's not a place where distance is really going to be a big deal. At Augusta, one of the most important factors was guys who were good at the long approach shots, 200 plus yards. You're not going to really get any of that here. This is a golf course, kind of a traditional Pete Dye second shot golf course. You need to find the fairways, very important. Probably the most important part, you need to be hitting those irons because you have to find the greens. If you don't, you have to be good at scrambling to make sure you can get up and down on these Bermuda greens. Not going to put a crazy amount of attention onto the putting this week, but I will be looking at guys who are better on Bermuda Bermuda than other surfaces. This is a pretty good field here. I like that they made it a signature event. Otherwise, you would have seen most of the top golfers bail after the Masters. Instead, we have just about everybody, I think, off the top of my head, except for Rory and Matsuyama here. So very excited to see how it goes down. But Scheffler does have crazy short odds. He's over 13K on DraftKings. So pretty much every decision you're going to make is going to flow downhill from how you think Scotty Scheffler does this week. He looks great, but you could definitely take a stand here. It's not as easy to win a golf tournament as you think, as evidenced by Scheffler not having any wins so far this year. Should be a fun one to watch. It's not going to be Augusta. Again, this is a golf course where, because distance isn't really a necessity, you can get a lot of different types of golfers that can compete here, even contend for a title. Some of these older guys that don't quite hit it as far, that have to really get it done around the greens, can shine here. So I think it gives you a lot of options when it comes to building your DraftKings lineups, and it gives you some guys you can take a shot on. I'd say, some finish in the top 20 type of wagers and get some longer odds that might look pretty good this week.
Let's get into our DraftKings picks for the RBC Heritage. We didn't have the success we were hoping for at the Masters. Cam Smith and Robert McIntyre missing the cut were the only two that really killed us here, but leaning on Patrick Reed worked out really, really well. Mills, who's in the top 5 for us this week?
Yep, we got to dust ourselves off and move on to the RBC. For our top 5 here, starting at number 5, we're going to go with Jason Day. A touch more expensive than I was hoping at 9,100, but only projecting for about 8% ownership. I think that makes him a fantastic tournament play. He's just in a little bit of a weird spot with the pricing here, because it'll be tough to jam him in there with Scheffler. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to use him in larger field tournaments this week. I don't know if he's going to make my final cash game lineup, but I definitely want to I'll be way over the field in my exposure to him in tournaments, single entry, and multi-entry. Did come in 22nd in my model. Looks pretty good there. Finished tied for 18th here last year. So pretty much checks all the boxes here. Not going to be a sexy play, but I like him as a lower owned leverage tournament play. At number 4 is the tournament play I'm going to be taking a stand on here. Matthew Fitzpatrick, 7,200, only projecting for about 6% ownership. My model really does not like him here. Finished 57th again out of a possible 72 golfers, but he is a course horse and a perfect tournament play at this low cost in ownership. The last 5 years here, he's finished 28th, first, missed the cut, 4th, and 14. So you've had the highs of winning the golf tournament, the lows of missing the cut, but still has managed 3 top 15 finishes here in his last 5. Been very volatile this season. His approach game has been the worst part of it. You're going to have to overlook that a little bit here, but everything else works well. And golf's a funny game. Sometimes everything's going terribly until it's not, or it's going great until it's not. Getting on a course here, he's played here a lot. This might be the course he's most comfortable with on tour. Offers a great chance for him to bounce back if he can get off to a good start. Just hit the irons halfway decent. I really think he has a strong possibility of making a run at it here. Again, at 7,200, 6% ownership. That is just an excellent play here. So very, very excited about it. And he's another one of those guys who the putting can be all over the place, but Bermuda is by far his best surface. So very excited about Fitzpatrick here. I don't know if he's going to make it into my cash game lineup, but there's a chance, and I will be way, way over the field in tournaments on him. At number 3, going with Brian Harman, 7,600, projecting for about 14% ownership. Just a nice blend of everything here. 19th in my model. Was up and down at Augusta last week, but he won the Valero 2 weeks ago. He's a streaky golfer. This is one of the times I think you want to jump on the train. I don't really mind the little bit of the mishap there at Augusta. It happens to everybody. Last 5 years here, he's finished 12th, 7th, 35th, 13th, and 28th. Not dominating by any means, but he's had a good history here, and he's playing pretty well. I think a lot fits in. It's a weird spot where there are a lot of kind of bigger names ahead of him. So I don't know that his ownership is really even going to get to this 14. He's a guy I could see slipping down into that maybe 10, 9% range. So just keep an eye on it. Definitely going to have a lot of exposure to him, maybe locking him into my single entry lineups. Very well could be in my final cash game lineup, and definitely going to have some exposure to him in large field tournaments. At number 2, probably the most chalk I'm eating here under the big guy up top, going back to the well with Bud Cauley, 7,500, projecting for about 17% ownership. He is playing about as well as anyone on tour right now. Was not invited to the Masters, but he's had top 6 finishes in his last 3 events. Came in 17th in my model. No real history here. Last time he played was back in 2020 when he missed the cut. But if you kind of dig down under the hood, he checks the boxes on all aspects of his game here. Very good on approach, very good around the greens. Two things we're looking for. Bermuda is his best putting surface. And honestly, I expected his salary to start with an 8. So I think he's underpriced by at least $500 here. So that makes me pretty content to eat the chalk. I don't mind eating the chalk when it's an underpriced thing like this. So you have to be a little careful, I think, in larger field tournaments, because I think a very popular start to building lineups will be to play Scotty Scheffler, plug Bud Cauley in for the cost saving. So just be a little conscious of that in your larger field stuff. But he's definitely going to be a mainstay in my single entry tournament lineups and in my cash game lineup. And at number 1, it's hard to go another way. The price is crazy, but it's keeping the ownership down. Scotty Scheffler, $13,100 salary on DraftKings. That's keeping the ownership down to about a projected 20%, although that will definitely balloon in single entry tournaments and in your cash games. In a cash game scenario, I'd expect him to be owned in 50 to 70% of lineups, depending on how big of a cash game contest you were playing in. The bigger the contest, the lower his ownership probably. Came in first in my model with a bullet. He's defending champion. He's only played here twice. He's first and tied for 11th. He hasn't won this season, but he's finished in the top 5 in each of his last 2 events. Kind of ho-hum defense at Augusta, but if you can kind of not play well and still finish 4th at the Masters, you're doing something right. Just not a lot you can really go against here, other than the fact he's really expensive. But it is what it is. There's a lot of guys I like in the 7K range this week, so I think he makes it affordable. He is most definitely in my cash game lineup, probably in all of my single entry tournament lineups, and I will probably be in that 40-50% range of him as far as my large field GPP tournament entries. So you got to kind of roll with the chalk when it's apt, and I think it's the apt spot for that this week. So those are our top 5 plays on DK for the RBC Heritage: Jason Day, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Brian Harman, Bud Cauley, and Scotty Scheffler.
It is time to head out into that alleyway to check in with our doctor, of course. And yeah, it might seem like an odd place for a doctor to do business, but trust me, nobody, and I mean nobody, knows their way around a dumpster like Dr. Mantis Toboggan. Mills, who's the doc prescribing as our dumpster dive plays for this week?
I give the man credit. He is a doctor practicing out of a dumpster, but I can actually read his handwriting. That's amazing. Sometimes you get these Harvard-educated doctors, and I swear to God, they're just drawing squiggly lines on the page. I don't know what school pharmacists have to go to read a prescription, but it's not easy. It's some language. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's gibberish. Maybe it's not. I was able to read his plays very clearly. There are 2 of them. Number 1, he's going back to the well with a guy who let us down about a month ago, Matt Kuchar. He is the stone cold minimum here, only 6,000. So he's projecting for about 9% ownership, a little higher than you like for some of these dumpster dive plays, but for min price, that's still very, very acceptable. Actually came in 18th in my model. He hasn't been in the best form, so maybe a little bit surprising, but the fit here is just really, really good, as evidenced by the fact that the last 3 times he's played here, he's finished in the top 20, 19th, 3rd, and 18th. The ball striking isn't quite what you would like, or what it used to be, but it's still decent enough. He is outstanding around the greens, especially good at putting on these Bermuda greens. So there's just a lot to like here at this price. Again, all he's got to do really is make the cut, but he just, very rarely do I think you have a guy who has legitimate top 10 potential for the min price. So it's a nice opportunity to jump on Kuchar here. And we're going to go back to the well with one of our Canucks. You got to get a Canadian there. Nick Taylor, 6,400, projecting for about 5% ownership. Came in 26 in the model. Checks all the boxes. His main issue is he can't gain on approach and around the green in the same round. He's really struggled to do that for the last 3 or 4 events. When he was putting that together earlier in the year, the only 2 times he has gained this season on approach and around the green, he finished 1st and he finished 12th. So if those 2 things could just converge here, there is a ton of upside. Again, this is a no-cut event. It allows you to take a couple of more chances here. So I really think that the doctor is on to something this week. Matt Kuchar, Nick Taylor, mark him down. Hopefully, he gets out of that dumpster. Doesn't, no botch jobs. He's got all his toes intact, and the doc can help us out again next week.
Say, $50, the Smales kid picks his nose. Okay.
Well, just like the weather, always check the latest news before finalizing any lineups and wagers. Don't be lazy, all right? Just don't do it. Go ahead, and check around to make sure you're getting the best odds available. Bunch of stuff where you can go to. Just check. It takes a few minutes. No, we're not affiliated with DraftKings, but yes, we are getting our odds and wagers from the DK Sportsbook, and they're accurate as of Tuesday, April 15th, 2025, tax day. As you know, here on Birdies, Bogeys, Bushwood, all of our wages are in our preferred currency, cricket coins. Yes, in cricket we trust, even if we don't really remember why we trust cricket.
I think we browned out that night, to the best of my recollection. It's a brownout. It's not a full blackout, but things are not as clear as you would like them to be. Last week, we went 2 for 8 on our weekly wagers at the Masters. These are generally your finishing position wagers, golfers to win, finish in the top 5, 10, 20, etc. That booked us a small loss, 70 cricket coins. We are still up 350 cricket coins on these weekly wagers this season. We have 3 for you this week. Right up top, we're going with 100 cricket coins on Sanjay M to finish in the top 5 plus ties. That is plus 650, so 100 coins to bring back 750. Another kind of sneaky course horse here. The last 4 years, he's finished 12th, 7th, 21st, and 13th. Tied for 5th at the Masters. Looked like he was finally starting to find his approach game, which is really the only area he's been struggling in, but it has been a massive, massive struggle. But he's great at finding the fairway, which is huge here, and he is outstanding around the green. So if those irons are coming back into form, he's had success here. A lot to love. I think he could definitely spike that top 5. And then we have Sepp Straka to finish in the top 10 plus ties. That's plus 280, so 100 coins to bring back 380. Came in 10th in my model. He's finished in the top 5 here 2 of the last 3 years. So we're not even asking for that, just the top 10, not even being greedy with the top 5. We're listening to our dog, DMX. A little bit inconsistent, but he has probably overall been one of the better players on tour so far this year. So very comfortable. Plus 280 for a top 10. We like that. And we mentioned him when the dumpster dives here. Matt Kuchar, top 20 plus ties, plus 300, 100 coins to bring back 400. I already talked about him a minute ago, so everything that holds true about him on DraftKings holds up here. Not even being greedy. A top 20, no cut. Really think he could get it done. So that's what we have for the weekly wagers. Let's hopefully continue our trek into the deep, deep shades of emerald green.
You love that color. Let's move on to our matchup wagers. We went 1-5 at the Masters last week, a loss of 170 cricket coins. We were killing these early in the season, but this cold stretch now leaves us down about 778 cricket coins on the season. Mills, how can we start clawing our way back into that shade of green that we like, that deep, deep green?
The real answer is probably to record later in the week when there are more options on the menu, but that's not fair. That is a bit of a cop-out. Now that we have a couple more, the honest thing is to try to go a little bit smaller instead of doing tournament groups with 5 golfers, get down to 3 balls, head-to-head wagers. Maybe don't quite reach for it so much, but you have to take what the menu gives you. We have 2 3 balls this week. There are 3 golfers in a group. You need to pick the one who finishes the best. If there is a tie, dead heat rules apply. In the first 3 ball, you have Ludwig Oberg, Patrick Cantlay, and Justin Thomas. We are going with 100 coins on Patrick Cantlay to win this one. That's plus 180. So 100 coins to bring back 280. We also have a second 3 ball. In this group, you have JJ Spawn, Brian Harmon, and Akshay Bhatia. Not really a surprise. Went with them in our DK picks. We're going to go with Brian Harmon here. 100 coins at plus 175 returns you 275 coins if he can take down this group. And then we have a tournament group. Same concept as the 3 ball, except there's 5 golfers in the group instead of 3. Again, if there's a tie between 2 golfers, dead heat rules apply. The group is Tommy Fleetwood, Jason Day, Sungjae Im, Jordan Spieth, and Robert McIntyre. Despite having a little bit of love for Sungjae and Jason Day here, gonna go with Jordan Spieth, a bit of a course horse here. He's won before, and it's plus 360, so 100 coins to bring back 360. If we hit all of those, we will be slightly in the green, but, let's not be greedy. Let's try to at least hit 2 of them, and then next week we'll get at least into that light green, and then we'll work on the deep dark green.
Go ahead and find yourself a beverage because we'd like to welcome y'all to the Parlay Partay. We went 0 for 3 on our parlays last week, putting us down 1,349 cricket coins on the season. Guys, parlays are, and let's just say they're tricky. But in golf, they're especially treacherous. You got to be patient though, because your fortunes can change very, very quickly at the parlay partay.
Yeah, just you're just partying 1 minute, everything's normally turning on, boom, Kathy Ireland's there. That's like, oh wait, is that Sinbad? Wait, aren't you Scott Bakula? And then all of a sudden, it goes from a party to a partay. This week, we only have one parlay for the partay. This is a mixed finishing position. Parlay, all of these are with ties. First up, leg number one, we have Scotty Scheffler to finish in the top 5 plus ties. That's minus 125. Leg number two, we have Patrick Cantlay to finish in the top 10 plus ties. That's plus 160. And finally, also to finish in the top 10 plus ties, we have Jordan Spieth. That is plus 280. You parlay those three legs together, your odds are plus 1678. So a wager of 100 cricket coins would return 1778 cricket coins. And just like that, we would be back in the green. We had the extreme patience. We get it done. We're going to kill all the gophers, not the golfers. We know what we're doing.
If you're hearing Dr. Dre right now, that means it's time to play Let Me Ride. This is our bankroll contest where we're trying to determine the best approach to building your bankroll when it comes to golf wagering. And of course, the winner gets a sweet, sweet prize.
You don't know sweetness until you've stomped on your opponent's game pieces. Maybe after setting them on fire, or maybe you set them on fire after you stomp on them. Either way, it's very, very rewarding. Pretty simple concept here. We each start out with 100 cricket coins. The goal is to get to 1,000 cricket coins. Each week we make one wager and we have to let everything we have ride on it. That's the deal. It's up to you. Do you want to try to just win it, boom, in 1 week, go big? Or do you want to try to do it incrementally with a few smaller wagers? If you can manage to win 7 in a row, let it ride successfully 7 times in a row, you can win that way. But in golf so far, I don't think either of us has done more than 3 in a row. So that is also treacherous, just like a parlay. If you miss your wager, you're back at 100 coins, you pick up a strike. If the season ends and we're still going, no one has won. Whoever has fewest strikes wins by default, but we want to win the real way, not by default. Jamie G, congratulations to you. Last week you went with Bryson DeChambeau to finish in the top 5 plus ties. You had 100 cricket coins. You put it on him at plus 350. He finished tied for 5th, right on the number. So you turned your 100 coins into 450 coins. I went big with Cam Young to finish in the top 10 plus ties. That was plus 900. Had he done it, I would have won the whole thing, but he did not. He was actually looking pretty good until he hit his final 9 on Friday, and then he tanked it and missed the cut. Jamie G, you are now in the lead here in round 2. You have 450 coins, 1 strike. You won 1 in a row. I am back at 100 coins. I have 2 strikes, but I have won the first round, so I do have that on you. But you're in the lead, so you get to go first here, where you're putting your 450 coins on at the RBC.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. Looking to stack on it. I'm putting 400 cricket coins on Russell Henley to finish in the top 20. It's minus 140. I'm going back to the classic Jamie G bet here, trying to hedge just a smidge, but manufacture a win. It's so hard to do in golf, but I'm going to do it anyways. 450 cricket coins to win back 771. And we talked about Russell Henley. He did come in third in our model. 3 top 3 finishes in his last 4 appearances here. So definitely in the consideration of happening. Missed the cut at the Masters, but I don't know that I'm too worried about that here. It's a different format, different course, different golfers. I like our chances here with Russell Henley.
Yeah, I like that too. That's a very good call there. He was a guy I jumped on late in the week in my DFS lineups for Augusta, and he burned me there, but I like that you're going back to the well here. I am going to go with a nationality wager here. I'm going to go with Sepp Straka to be the top European. There's 13 golfers here. The top ones in terms of odds are Ludwig Oberg, Shane Lowry, Victor Hovland, Tommy Fleetwood, Aaron Rai, Sepp Straka, Robert McIntyre, Justin Rose, Matt Fitzpatrick. So those are generally the guys you got to beat. There are a couple of guys with the longer odds as well. But I'm doing that because his odds are plus 900. So if he can just come in first out of these 13 golfers, I'll turn my 100 coins into 1,000 coins and I will be victorious once again. He came in 10th in the model. He's finished in the top 5 2 of the past 3 years here. It seems entirely possible he can beat these other 12 golfers. I think Sepp Straka can do it for me. I want to call him Strep Throat. There's too many Sepps and Strakas in there, but it's also a cool name because you can't be a good golfer unless you have a cool name. It's part of the deal.
And they all have the greatest name in sports. It's incredible. Nothing like golfers' names. We're going to finish things up here with our one and done selections. For the Masters last week, we recommended Scotty Scheffler, John Rahm, and Cameron Smith. Even with Scheffler finishing fourth, we didn't come through for you last week. Sorry about that. It's not great, but the good news is that the winner is taking home 3.6 million this week. It's just 500,000 less than Rory got for winning the Masters. So we like that. Mills, who are we recommending for the HBC Heritage in the one and done contests?
I think this is a perfect spot to go ahead and roll Patrick Cantlay out there. Pretty good odds to win at plus 2,000. Came in 13th in my model. Checks that box. The last 3 years here, third, and second. He's playing decent enough right now. Again, I don't need him to be in great form. Just looks like you're not terrible, and he's decent enough. I think that's fair. And he's the guy that I just can't bring myself to use at a major. And I think the fact that this is already the fifth signature event just means there's going to be less chances to use him with a bigger purse on the line. So I think he's an absolute perfect fit here. Again, plus 2,000 to win, one of the shortest odds on the board. We can't all be Scotty Scheffler. Next up, you got Jordan Spieth, plus 4,000. Only came in 46 in the model, but that's not surprising considering his approach game has kind of been up and down here. I do not like eating the chalk with him on DraftKings, but he's another guy that it's tough to use him at an event that I think is worth it, kind of where you have a big enough purse. I don't like using him at one of these events where you're only taking home a little bit over $1 million, but I'm not going to use him in a major either. We've already been through Texas, so I think using him here in Hilton Head at Harbor Town, of course, where he's had success, where he's won before, is a good idea. And if you are in a large field, a deep one and done contest, maybe go with Brian Harman. Already talked about him. He's plus 7,500 to win the golf tournament. I think because if you look above him, there's just a lot of golfers with shorter odds to win. He's going to fly way under the radar here. That means you're going to get a lot of leverage. If he can take home that 3.6 for you, you might be able to make up a couple million on the leaders, and that's a huge thing to do in one and done. It's very tough to play from behind, and we're already getting to the point now where some of these guys leading these contests at 15 million bucks. So if you're only at like 3 million and you're down by this much, it's already that time to start being a little bit more aggressive with it. Again, in a smaller contest, you might not need to go for it, but if you are in a large field contest and you're way towards the back, it's time to start getting a bit aggressive. So those are our 3 one and done recommendations for the RBC Heritage. Patrick Cantlay plus 2,000, Jordan Spieth plus 4,000, and Brian Harman plus 7,500.
Well, finally, we got to make our very own picks for Birdies, Bogeys, Bushwood, one and done contest. Mills, neither of us took Rory last week, but I think I did enough at least to retake the lead from you, right?
Yeah, you rolled out the big dog. You went with Scotty Scheffler, who won just over $1 million for the solo fourth finish. I went with our other recommendation, John Rahm. Played well enough on Sunday to get up to tied for 14th, but that was only enough to bring back about 336 grand. That means on the year you have a little bit over 2.8 million. I have a bit over 2.4 million, so you're up by about $358,000 at the end of the day. That means you have the honors. You get to go first. 3.6 million of the winner here. Who are you rolling with in the one and done contest?
Yeah, man. I'm taking Colin Morikawa here at plus 1,100. He's got the second best odds to win, 2 top finishes in his last 4 appearances here, including a ninth place finish last year. In good form with top 15 finishes in his last 3 events. He's not scorching hot, but he's good. I like him in this spot. I'm going with Colin Morikawa.
Nice. I hate to say in golf, you never want to be like he's due, but he does feel like one of these players that's been on the verge. I don't think he's won in a couple years, so you feel like the breakthrough is going to come sooner or later. And that puts me in a bit of a pickle here because I've already used most of our picks here. I've used Cantlay, I've used Spieth, I've even used Scheffler. You just used Morikawa. I don't want to use the same guy you're using. This is not a deep contest, but you know what? I said you got to take some chances. Why? I'm just going to go with Brian Harman. I'm going to stick to my guns here, show some conviction, even though he's plus 7,500. I could have gone to Sanjay here. I didn't hate it, but you know what? I said y'all should take Brian Harman. You know what? I'm going to listen to myself. Take Brian Harman. Let's see if he can at least best Colin Morikawa so I can make up some ground on you.
Mills, not only should you listen to yourself, you should listen to your heart. There really isn't. Thank you guys for checking out this episode of Birdies, Bogeys, Bushwood. We appreciate you riding with us. We hope you enjoyed the Masters. We hope you're equally as excited about this one here at Hilton Head at the RBC. We will catch you on the flip side. Mills will let you know where you can find all of our stuff. Make sure you throw the thumb and subscribe. Hit us up on our social media. Let us know who you're taking. Show us those bet slips, and we'll catch you next week.
Make sure you enjoy all that South Carolina has to offer. It's not all Waffle House and Myrtle Beach. There is more to it, we swear. Thanks again for checking out Birdies, Bogeys, Bushwood, presented by CSGAP Fantasy Football. Find our content wherever you eat your pods and on YouTube. Find us on social media at CSGAPFF and on the web at CSGAPFF.com. Nice and easy to remember, just like those flaps, FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, make sure that you've clicked that thumb. I'm Magnum Mills. He's Jamie G. Thanks again for checking out the show. Good luck this week, and we'll see you next week.
Good luck this week. We'll see you at the 19th hole. Cheers.
Listen to your heart.